Police are searching for the motive in yesterday's deadly shooting at a Christian school in Madison, Wisconsin. The shooter was identified as a 15-year-old female student. She's believed to have died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Two other people, including a student and a teenage student and a teacher, were also killed in the shooting. Two additional students remain in critical condition, and now authorities are investigating how the shooter was able to get her hands on the 9mm handgun that was found at the scene, as well as the motive for the shooting.
Identifying a motive is our top priority, but at this time, it appears that the motive was a combination of factors. Again, we cannot share that information at this time because we do not want to jeopardize the investigation and those who are currently cooperating with us. All patient status remain unchanged. The 911 calls are the record of the 911 Communications Center, and their standing operating procedure is not to release documents in open and active investigations.
I want to bring in CBS News Homeland Security and Justice reporter Nicole Sganga. She's been covering this investigation for us. Nicole, what more do we know about the suspected shooter and her profile?
Well, still a huge question mark here, Lindsay, is what the motive was here. You heard the police chief there, Sean Barnes, say that at this point, law enforcement believe it was a combination of factors. And as he was addressing the media there, he spoke about investigators looking into whether home life or bullying were potential factors here that led this 15-year-old girl to bring a gun, a 9mm pistol that was then recovered from the scene, into her school. We know that the shooter in this case did not breach the school. There was no forced entry, entered as it was a normal school day, and opened fire during a study hall, a class with students from different grades there. We know now, based on the correction issued by the police chief there, that it was a second grade teacher that made that call to law enforcement. And we do know, Lindsay, and we've been talking about just how swift this response has been, how quickly law enforcement raced to the scene. Within 3 minutes of that call going out at 10:57 a.m., officers arriving on that scene. Within 5 minutes, they had cleared, or rather confirmed, that the shooter was down. Within 8 minutes, EMS arriving on the scene. Within 17 minutes, authorities began clearing the school of any students, and within 27 minutes, there were bomb-sniffing dogs there. You know, police now and FBI in coordination will be building a profile of this shooter to determine just what it was that led to this tragedy. But at this point, very little information, and police also being very cautious here in saying there's a lot of misinformation being circulated online, that there is a letter that is, circulating on social media, that they have not confirmed whether or not that is writing from the shooter or not. They've not been able to track that down and determine if it's authentic, but that right now they are going through the shooter's previous writings. They had mentioned looking through multiple electronics, laptops, to see if they could perhaps line that up. But at this point, being very careful not to speculate here on some of what we've seen circulating online.
What more are we learning about the gun used in the shooting?
Yeah, we know that it's a 9mm pistol, but it remains an open question of how the shooter here got a hold of that gun. Of course, the ATF will be tracing this weapon, its serial markings, to determine, where this gun was purchased, who the manufacturer was, the retail history here. And a big question for prosecutors and for the DA will be whether or not this gun was possessed by a parent, whether or not the shooter had clear access to the gun, whether or not there was any negligence on the part of the parents. And as we've seen in previous school shootings, both in Oxford, Michigan, and more recently at Appalachia High School in Georgia, there is precedent for pressing charges on parents who do show this kind of negligence, but it is too soon at this point, Lindsay, early to say whether or not, the DA will take that course. They have said that the parents are cooperating. The police chief, Barnes, there has said at this point there's no criminal investigation into the parents, but we are very, very early into this investigation. The police chief saying just today that today is day one of the investigation phase here. So a lot more work to be done by law enforcement.
Nicole Sganga, thank you.
Thank you.
CBS News correspondent Ian Lee was at that police press conference in Madison. Ian, not a lot of information coming out of there. I mean, they essentially said that they're gleaning the suspected shooter's social media, couldn't verify a document that was circulating on social media purportedly from the shooter. They corrected themselves, saying that it was not a second grade student, but rather a second grade teacher who called 911. They reiterated that more schools in the area are getting swatting calls, but there are still many questions, including identities of the victims.
Yeah, and for many people, it was a bit of a frustrating press conference afterwards. The chief of police left, wasn't taking any questions. City officials were answering some questions, really not giving us the details that people have been looking for. We do know that the 6 people who were shot, those remaining in the hospital, their condition hasn't changed. One question I had was, why didn't the school have a resource officer? Why don't schools have these resource officers that we see in other schools around the country? That is a question they couldn't answer. And so there was this frustration about just not getting kind of what we need to know, like a motive. They say that they're looking at it. There's a combination of factors of the motive. They haven't given a clear one yet. Also, you mentioned that there's this document spreading online. The police chief said people are calling it a manifesto. And that is one thing they are looking into. They said that they are taking documents from the house that they seized, also looking at computer files, seeing if those matched up to see if this document is legitimate. They're also reaching out to the public, asking the public if there's any information out there that they can help with, if they spoke with the shooter beforehand, anything that they can get to help move this investigation forward. But Lindsay, I think it's most notable that they said that there isn't going to be a press conference moving forward. So we don't know when we're going to get our next information.
Okay. Police have said the suspected shooter's parents are cooperating. What more do we know about that?
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. That's about all they have said is that police or the parents are cooperating. But if you go to the father's house, the door is missing. The police breached that door. Windows are shattered, and they said because they believe there could have been explosives on the other side. They just wanted to use abundance of caution. There wasn't. But it kind of a lot of people are wondering if there is cooperation, why would you have to blow in the front door? And so, we are waiting to hear more about what that cooperation looks like. Also, the gun. How did she get the gun? Did her father purchase the gun for her? Did another family member purchase the gun for her? Or did she take it from somewhere else? There's a lot of questions surrounding that. And if a family member could be liable in this case.
Ian, a lot was discussed in the press conference about other schools in the area and swatting incidents. The Dane County executive saying that simply educators and students going to school today, parents dropping their kids off, that was an act of bravery. Can you sort of talk about those ideas that were presented in the press conference today, both the sentiment of the community and now they're dealing with these false threats on top of that?
Yeah, as you can imagine, right now, there is an atmosphere of fear in this community, especially after something like this happens, really shook it to its core. And so a lot of parents felt that, they just didn't want to send their child to school today. I spoke with a teacher who works at a neighboring school, and he told me how there is a bit of fear after this kind of shooting. They question their security. But moving forward, you look at these calls that are going in, these swatting, as they said in the press conference, they said these are going to be handled very severely. They're going to work not with just local officials, but federal officials to try to identify the people who are doing these. This is a crime, and they say they're going to hold these people accountable because it just adds to the atmosphere of fear in this community.
All right, Ian Lee, thank you.